Yesterday was a day filled with people quitting their jobs, but let's start with Inter Miami boss Javier Mascherano calling it quits just 4 months after winning the MLS Cup. I guess getting a draw against the Red Bulls just put him over the edge.
There's certainly something weird going on here, right? Coaches don't quit 7 games into a title defense season. That's generally not a thing that happens. It does happen. Sometimes managers walk away. I think Marcelo Bielsa maybe is famous for walking away from clubs when things don't go exactly the way he wants them to. But we kind of know, all right, Marcelo Bielsa, El Loco, his nickname is El Loco, but he comes by honestly. He doesn't like something, he gets yelled at by construction workers or something. I think that happened to Bilbao, and he's like, I'm out. I'm not putting up with this. I think Mascherano is reportedly leaving Miami because of personal reasons. I mean, that was the message that the club put out. The timeline yesterday was interesting because Tom Bogert posted it on his socials, and then 5 minutes later, the press release landed in the inbox from Inter Miami confirming that Mascherano was leaving, and then calling it, a decision based on personal reasons. I don't want to speculate about that, Rob. That doesn't feel right to be like, well, maybe X or Y is happening in his personal life. That's his business. It definitely is interesting, though. It leaves Miami in a weird spot. They do have somebody experienced in Guillermo Hoyos who can step in. He's been there. He's been around and managed clubs in a number of different countries.
Yeah,
So
correct me if I'm wrong. He was brought in. He has a connection from the way back with Messi, right?
Yeah, he was involved in Barcelona and is reportedly, or Argentina rather, and is reportedly the guy that got Messi on his way. So this is very much still Messi and friends down in Miami. So it's not as though this suddenly becomes somebody from the outside is going to take over. I mean, I guess for the moment it'll be Hoyos, and then I guess they'll have to address whether they want to go with a flashier name. I mean, he's a name and he's known to Messi, but he's not a marquee name the way that Mascherano would have been from his playing days. So how much does Jorge Mas care about that? I know that Felipe Cardenas at The Athletic is arguing that, this is weird, but it's kind of Inter Miami's chaotic brand to have a manager walk out the door. Change is just inevitable at a club. It kind of is. It's a little bit Barcelona. It's a little bit Real Madrid in the sense that those are clubs because of their ambition, because of the intensity of the people involved, because of the egos. You just know there's going to be a certain amount of chaos. Right, it just comes with the story. Yes, there's the argument, as John is saying, that Lionel Messi is the de facto manager at Inter Miami. I have no doubts that Lionel Messi has massive input on how the team plays or where he plays in particular, and maybe some other personnel choices. But I do think that Mascherano had a lot to do with Inter Miami's success last season, and it's a disappointment in the sense that I was interested to see how Mascherano's managerial career was going to continue to develop. And maybe he does pop up somewhere. Maybe he had too much Miami. I don't know.
Yeah, too much Miami. That was funny to see that on your blue sky. But yeah, with the boilerplate nature of the statement given and the surprise nature of the news, it makes it kind of rife for speculation. It, makes the mind kind of seek out some reasons. Like, is the internal nature in that clubhouse just so poisonous that he had to get out? Big egos are combustible, and one thing can go wrong, and they have to move on from that. But it also could be something very, very, very personal that we don't even necessarily want to speak about. Like, there could be something in this personal life that just has to be attended to. Hell be damned with work life. But it makes you kind of wonder. Yeah. And right off the back, you were talking about we wanted to see where Mascherano's coaching arc goes, because he started to get his first, sow his oats and get some kudos for his coaching in the playoffs, as they went from just above, they had a, to be honest, a somewhat mediocre season last year compared to the one before that. But obviously they turned the screw and had a historic run in the playoffs with some tweaks he made. Maybe he was helped with Suarez's injury to make the decision to keep him on the bench, which unlocked Inter Miami's potential last year. But I'm curious, you were talking about this is still the Messi and Friends show. That list of friends of Messi's is starting to get a little thin. Is he going to be the Lone Ranger from the old crew here by the time he's done?
Well, I mean, and specifically guys that he played with in Barcelona. I mean, Javier Hernandez is out there, Rob. I mean, it's you say it's thin, but there's still names out there, people that could write in and be part of this if they wanted to be. Neymar's name's been linked to MLS. Maybe not going to be the
Are
man.
they still friends?
I think so. I mean, I don't know. Again, is Lionel Messi close to anybody? It seems he seems like an odd duck that way. I don't know. I think I ultimately Inter Miami's going to find somebody that's a good enough team. They're going to make the playoffs. Whether this impacts them significantly on their chance on their chase for a second consecutive title, I don't know. It's extremely hard to go back to back in MLS anyway, so the odds are stacked against them.